Hey everyone, today we are ranking all of the current survivors of Dead by Daylight. Survivors don't have particularly clear criteria to be ranked by, as they are essentially just skins that you choose. However, there are a few things we can focus on, which is what we're going to be ranking today. Every survivor will be given points for their injured noises, available cosmetics, and the size of their character model. Each of these scored from 1 to 3, 1 being the lowest, 3 being the highest. Each teachable perk of the survivor will also be given a point score of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. This is for a total out of 24. Let's get into it. In number 29 we have Ash Williams. Ash has bad perks across the board. Metal of Man, Flip Flop, and Buckle Up are all very bad and very niche perks that often won't work even when you try and make them work within a build. All of them with weak effects even if you do. Metal of Man requiring 3 hits to allow you to shrug off 1, Flip Flop converting recovery progress into wiggle progress at a 50% conversion rate, and Buckle Up revealing the auras of downed teammates and their recovery progress. Ash has loud noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and a large character model. Next up in 28 we have Adam Francis. His first perk, Autodidact, is a healing perk that nerfs your healing before slowly buffing it, making it inconsistent and a difficult to optimize perk. He then has Diversion, a distraction perk. This perk lets you throw a pebble as a distraction, after staying in the killer's terror radius for a short while, and is fairly useless but quite fun. Finally, Deliverance lets you guarantee a self-unhook after saving a teammate safely. This can allow for some considerable pressure, but can also do nothing if you're hooked first. Adam has average noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and a large character model. In number 27 we have Laurie Strode. Laurie has pretty bad perks overall. Decisive Strike is really her only good one. This perk activates after being unhooked, lasting 60 seconds. If the killer downs you and picks you up during this time, you can jump free of the killer's grasp, although during this time you can't heal, work on gens, or cleanse totems. This is a true anti-tunnel perk, so not as good as it used to be, but still solid at its job. Soul Survivor is a truly dreadful perk that gains tokens each time a teammate dies. For each teammate lost, you gain a token. Each token reduces the killer's aura read range on you by 24 meters. Object of Obsession is a perk that works for and against you, revealing the killer every 30 seconds for 3 seconds. However, the killer also sees you during this time. This perk I find is mostly counterproductive, but it is good for getting attention and knowing the killer's general whereabouts. Laurie has loud noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 26 we have Cheryl Mason. Cheryl's best perk is Soul Guard. This perk lets you fully recover from the dying state if a hex is active, and also gives you a small duration of endurance upon doing so. Very interesting perk and solid right now with killers using hexes quite a bit. Blood Pact is a perk that will grant you haste upon healing the obsession, retaining this haste if you remain within their range after doing so. This perk is a lot of fun, but is simply not good. Repressed Alliance is another very interesting perk, letting you block generators with the entity's claws for 30 seconds after working on one for 45 seconds. It can really be useful and is very niche and situational. Cheryl has average noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 25 is Yui Kimura. Lucky Break grants 60 seconds of leaving no blood and scratch marks when injured. Very good effect, however the short duration makes this perk run out of time far too quickly. Any Means Necessary is a cool perk that lets you pick up drop pallets, also revealing drop pallets to you with an aura. Once you've picked one up, you get a 60-second cooldown. Depending on the killer, this is beneficial. It can be very powerful or entirely useless depending on if a killer decides to break or leave pallets. Most killers affected by pallets will typically break them, so I think this perk is a pretty average one overall. Breakout gives you haste when near a teammate being carried by the killer, buffing their wiggle speed by 20% when you're within 6 meters. Interesting idea, but most of the time this 20% is not going to help most teammates, as hooks are typically near enough regardless. Yui has average noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 24 we have Jonah Vasquez. Jonah has a varied set of perks. Overcome is his exhaustion perk that extends your speed boost after getting hit by 2 seconds longer, allowing you to run a bit further after a hit. It's pretty good right now and can often end chases before they even start, if you're not so confident with chases in general. Boon Exponential is a boon that will let you fully recover from the dying state when in its 24 meter range at twice the speed. It's a good effect, but the setup is often tricky and the perk requires you to be in a set and small area, making it tricky but rewarding if it's set up well. Corrective Action is a perk that will change failed skill checks from teammates into good skill checks, consuming a token as it does this. Tokens are gained when you hit great skill checks. This perk I've found just doesn't really ever get activated, and I imagine the few times it does, it's such a tiny benefit it's not worthwhile the perk slot. Jonah has average noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, and a large character model. In number 23 we have Jane Romero. Jane's best perk is Head On. This perk lets you stun the killer by bursting out of a locker, after remaining in it for 3 seconds, and leaving you exhausted. This is a unique exhaustion perk, letting you save teammates and also slow the killer down, or stun them mid-chase. Solidarity is a healing perk that converts all heals you perform onto yourself at a 50% conversion rate. When you heal a teammate fully, say, you'll also get a half heal if injured. This is so situational and often the time saved simply isn't worth it for the perk slot. Further, you can't use a medkit with this perk. Finally, Poised removes your scratch marks for 10 seconds after a generator is completed. This can rarely be handy and allow for brief stealth, however the largely uncontrollable activation and small number of potential activations makes this perk pretty bad most of the time. Jane has loud noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and an average character model. In number 22 is Jeff Johansen. Breakdown will break hooks you are unhooked from, making them inactive for 3 minutes, further revealing the killer's aura to you for 6 seconds. This perk is situationally useful, but can come in handy when it comes to countering camping, and the reveal of the killer's location is always a nice little bonus bit of information. Aftercare is an aura perk that activates after you perform altruistic actions on teammates, or them on you, revealing their location with auras. This is good for information, however it also has downsides, such as being able to lose the perk's progress when you get hooked. Distortion is a perk that will block the killer's aura reading up to 3 times for its 3 tokens. This perk can be very useful, but often it can also be useless if the killer has no aura perks. When it does work, it's worth it though. Jeff has loud noises, good cosmetics for stealth, and a large character model. In number 21 we have Steve Harrington. Steve has a bunch of very average perks. Babysitter is a perk that activates after unhooking a teammate, hiding your teammate's pools of blood and scratch marks for 8 seconds, and revealing your aura to the killer for 4. It's an interesting way to try and stop tunneling and get the killer to go for you instead, but it's got a decent chance to not work. Camaraderie is a perk that pauses the hook progression for 34 seconds, when another survivor is within 16 meters of you. This is to help out with camping, buying you more time. It's situational, but useful when camping does occur. Finally, Second Wind allows you to automatically heal a health state after being unhooked, and waiting 20 seconds. To activate this, you need to fully heal a teammate for a full health state first. Pretty nice and a good time saver. Steve has loud noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and an average character model. In number 20 we have Quentin Smith. Quentin has some quite niche but sometimes decent perks. Pharmacy guarantees a green medkit after opening a chest, and further lets you open chests faster. Very niche, but a green medkit can come in handy. Wake Up boosts the speed at which you open the exit gates by 15%, also revealing the exit gates to you when they are within 128 meters. Again, very niche, but can genuinely come in clutch for yourself and the team. Finally, Vigil provides a nice base buff to you and teammates within 8 meters, reducing your cooldown of negative status effects by 30%. This is particularly helpful for getting exhaustion perks back faster. Still, largely an average perk. Quentin has average noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and an average character model. In number 19 we have Ace Visconti. Ace has pretty bad perks, but a good setup for being stealthy. Up the ante increases your luck by 9%, 3% for each teammate alive. Luck only lets your self-unhook attempts have a slightly higher success rate, making this perk awful. Open-handed is actually not bad, buffing all of your aura reading perks ranges by 16 meters, a quite considerable and surprisingly helpful buff. Ace in the Hole will grant you an add-on to any item you pull from a chest. This is super niche but can be decent if you center your build around it. Still a weak perk alone I feel. Ace has very quiet quiet noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and an average character model. Ace, going purely off of sound, is your best choice for a character, as he's the quietest in the game, so if you don't care about teachables and only the sound, Ace is your guy. In number 18 we have Zarina Kassir. Zarina is another character with interesting but equally niche and quite situational perks. Red Herring is simply not good. It's a distraction perk. Work on a generator briefly, then jump into a locker, creating a fake noise notification as a distraction on the gen you worked on. It's not good. Long setup and an effect that often won't even get the killer's attention. Off the record activates after being unhooked and will block your aura from the killer and your engine noises completely for 80 seconds. It's a nice buff after being unhooked, allowing you to stealthily get away without being found again, or needing to heal immediately. Finally, For the People allows you to transfer a health state from yourself to a teammate. This allows instant heals, which will generally have varying results. It's a strong perk, but I think it's equally tricky to use well, and often quite risky. Zarina has average noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 17 we have Élodie Rakoto. Élodie has a good set of perks honestly. Appraisal lets you search chests twice, the second time at an 80% increased speed. You can do this up to 3 times on 3 different chests. This can produce a ton of items, which can often be very beneficial to the team, particularly if you get a number of medkits. Deception is the only good deception-based survivor perk in my opinion. It actually works quite well and quite consistently. This perk allows you to fake entering a locker, further removing your scratch marks and pools of blood for 3 seconds. Fun and actually effective a lot of the time. Power Struggle allows you to pull pallets down whilst being carried by the killer if your wiggle progress is at 25% or more. This is so situational and can work, but it is just so rare I find, and relies more on the killer making a mistake over your good use of the perk. I love this perk and I hate ranking it so low, but it's simply not good if I'm being honest. Élodie has loud noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 16 is Felix Richter. Visionary is a perk that reveals generators within 32 meters, removing this effect for 16 seconds when a gen is completed. This perk is alright I feel. It isn't the most amazing effect, but it is consistent and reveals your primary objective in a simple way. Desperate Measures gives you a 14% increase to healing speeds for each injured survivor, including yourself, up to a total of 56%. This perk is honestly very consistently helpful, and useful when it needs to be, activating for each injured survivor. Finally, Built to Last is also very solid. This perk lets you recharge 99% of your depleted item charges, letting you entirely refill a medkit or something else useful like a good toolbox. You can do this 3 times, but each time losing 33% of those restored charges. This perk can make medkits last forever and can create some serious pressure as a result. Felix has average noises, average cosmetics, and a large character model. In number 15 we have Leon S. Kennedy. Bite the Bullet can be situationally very strong. It removes all noises made when healing, allowing you to be incredibly safe whilst you do so. Further, failing skill checks whilst healing has reduced effects, making you even safer. It's a nice, solid perk with some potential for some riskier mid-loop stealth. Flashbang is an interesting perk, allowing you to craft a flashbang item in a locker after working on a generator for 50% of its progress. This is like a droppable flashlight blind, and can be used to get saves and also distract or slow down the killer mid-chase. It's a little tricky to use over a flashlight, but the potential to craft these infinitely is pretty nice, and they can genuinely come in handy. Rookie Spirit I believe to be quite underrated, revealing the auras of regressing generators with no range cap to the generator's aura. The only prerequisite is that you have to hit 3 skill checks successfully. This perk lets you retain pressure and provides information on the killer's whereabouts also. Leon has average noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and an average size character model. In number 14 is Yun-Jin Lee. Fast Track is a token based perk that will gain 3 tokens every time a teammate is hooked, up to a total of 27. Each token is equivalent to 1% generator progress when a great skill check is hit on a generator, allowing larger bumps in progress. Pretty good, and a nice bit of extra speed as a result of natural gameplay. Smash Hit is an exhaustion perk that activates after stunning the killer with a pallet, granting you with a 4-second boost to movement speed, and leaving you exhausted. This is great for distance, both stunning the killer and running away, but it's harder to activate due to its requirements, and the finite number of pallets. Her final perk, Self-Preservation, hides your scratch marks, bleeding, and grunts of pain for 10 seconds when a survivor within 16 meters of you gets hit. This is a really weird one, activating at a time when the killer is focused on your teammate and likely isn't interested in chasing you, making it largely useless, especially due to its short duration. Yun-Jin has average noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 13 we have Jill Valentine. Counterforce is a very solid perk that counters totems. It gives you 20% extra speed to cleansing, and a stackable 20% speed to cleansing each time a totem is cleansed. Further, after cleansing a totem, you see the furthest totem away through auras for 4 seconds. This is great and allows you to systematically destroy each totem. Resurgence is a simple but good perk, giving an automatic 50% heal progress after being unhooked, allowing you to heal up quicker and get back into the action. Finally, Blast Mine activates after working on a generator for 2/3 of its progress, allowing you to place a blast mine on the gen. If the gen is kicked, the killer gets stunned and blinded, stalling them. Further, when a blast mine is placed, the gen will be revealed to other survivors in a yellow aura, allowing some info for your teammates on your whereabouts, and some passive coordination. Decent perk and beneficial for its information, even if the mine doesn't go off a lot of the time. Jill has average noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, but a small character model. In number 12 is Detective Tapp. Tapp is a very well-rounded character. His first perk is Tenacity. This perk lets you crawl when downed 50% faster. This is mostly useful for when you're slugged, allowing you to make a bunch of distance and have a higher chance at getting found by a teammate over the killer. This perk is also great as it lets you recover as you crawl too. Detective's Hunch is an information perk that activates when a generator is completed. Upon activation, it reveals the auras of generators, chests, and totems in a 64-meter range for 10 seconds. These auras can also be kept tracked if you have a map, letting you see them again. Finally, he has Stakeout. This perk gains tokens when remaining in the killer's terror radius for 15 seconds. Each token, to a maximum of 4, converts good skill checks into greats. This makes you generally more efficient, creating speedier heal times and gen speeds. Tapp has quiet noises, average cosmetics, and a large character model. In number 11 we have Feng Min. Feng Min is a very well-rounded character. First off, she has Lithe. This is an exhaustion perk that gives a speed boost and activates when doing a fast vault. This makes this perk fairly easy to hold onto and activate when starting a chase, giving you a good head start, or distance mid-chase. Alert is a highly underrated information perk, revealing the killer's aura for 5 seconds every time they break something, whether that be a generator or a pallet. You'll see them. This is an amazing perk for keeping track of their location, and general information on their whereabouts, as it activates more than you think it would. Finally, Technician is a perk that does have purpose, but that purpose is not going to be applicable to most players. This perk reduces the audible sound of generators you're on by 8 meters. It also makes it so failed skill checks don't explode the gen, but instead regress it more than usual. This is good for newer players, especially ones who struggle to hit skill checks, but really it's not going to be all too helpful for most, and often even failed skill checks won't draw the killer, and equally they're a good experience to learn from. Feng has loud noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 10 we have David King. David has arguably the best exhaustion perk, Dead Hard. This perk lets you boost forward a short distance and negate all damage taken briefly. This perk is great for gaining distance, dodging hits, and baiting swings, and overall is an incredibly well-rounded perk that can carry whole builds. No Mither is a perk that makes you broken for the entire game and unable to heal. However, you get the benefit of your grunts of pain being reduced by 75% to be quieter. You can also recover from the dying state completely and at a 25% faster speed. This perk is still mostly just enough though. Making you injured all game is not the best thing, even with all these slight benefits. Finally, We're Gonna Live Forever is a perk that boosts your healing on downed teammates by 100%. It further gives you 25% extra blood points each time you take a protection hit for a teammate, up to 4 times for double the blood points, or 100% more. This is great for speedy heals and also farming BP. David has loud noises, average cosmetics, and a large character model. In number 9 we have Kate Denson. Dance With Me is an extremely average deception perk that hides your scratch marks after fast vaulting or locker exiting for 3 seconds, with a cooldown of 40. This can be quite good indoors, but most of the time this perk will have very little effect. Windows of Opportunity is a solid perk that identifies electrifies all pallets, windows, and breakable walls through auras in a 32-meter range. This gives you time to look ahead and prepare your route in a chase, and generally have a good idea of the resources available. Boil Over is a very niche perk with a lacking effect. It increases your struggle effects when in the killer's grasp by 75%, and blocks the killer from seeing hook auras within 14 meters. This will very rarely help, and is broadly a waste of a perk slot. Kate has quiet noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In number 8 we have Dwight Fairfield. Prove Thyself is a perk that boosts gen speeds by 15% for every survivor working on a generator, up to 45%. You also gain a boost to blood points. Gen's your main objective, making this perk pretty amazing. Bond is a great aura perk used to locate fellow teammates, revealing their auras within a 36-meter range. Nice and simple, but great for coordination. Finally, Leader gives a nice small buff of a 25% increase to action speeds for other survivors when they are within 8 meters of you, not including gen speeds. This effect lingering for 15 seconds after they leave this 8 meters. Dwight has average noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, and an average character model. In number 7 we have Nea Karlsson. Balanced Landing is an exhaustion perk that grants a boost of speed when falling from a great height. This perk can be situational based on the map, but highly effective on indoor maps in particular. It's more of a gamble for an exhaustion perk, but has great potential. Urban Evasion is a perk that boosts your crouched movement speed by 100%. This is great for hiding and moving around objects quickly, and has some benefits against certain killers such as Hag or Pyramid Head. A small but decent buff. Finally, Streetwise will grant a 25% decrease rate of depletion for your items for you and survivors within 8 meters. This effect lingering for 15 seconds upon leaving this range. This is great for savoring toolbox charges, making the most of them, and also medkits. Nea has average noises, bad stealth cosmetics, and a small character model. In number 6 we have Jake Park. Jake's best perk is Iron Will. This perk simply reduces grunts of pain by 100%, making you silent when injured. This is amazing, with it removing audible information for the killer, making loops especially tricky and hiding much easier. Jake also has Calm Spirit, a perk that stops you from alerting crows, and stops you from screaming by any means. Not great and super niche with the occasional application. Finally, Saboteur lets you sabotage hooks without a toolbox, revealing hook auras when a teammate is being carried within 56 meters. After sabotaging, you have a 60-second cooldown. This perk is by no means good, but it does have a unique effect, which can be helpful, and can get the occasional save. It's debatable whether it's even deserving of this many points though. Jake has average noises, good cosmetics for stealth, and an average character model. In number 5 we have Nancy Wheeler. Nancy has a range of perks, all of which are pretty good. Inner Strength requires you to first break a totem. Once active, this perk lets you heal a health state after remaining in a locker for 8 seconds. This perk is effective, forcing you to seek out and destroy totems, and also cutting down healing times. Fixated is a useful perk that lets you keep track of your scratch marks, revealing them to you, in the same way they are revealed to the killer, further granting a 20% increase to walking movement speed. This is great and allows you to keep track of your scratch marks, these typically being the method for how the killer will find you. The extra walking movement speed is nice also. Better Together finally is kinda average. It reveals your generator's aura to other survivors when you work on a generator, in a 32-meter range. Further, if a survivor is downed whilst you are repairing a generator, all of your teammates' auras are revealed. Overall, pretty helpful. This helps gens along and further provides useful information on teammate whereabouts. Nancy has average grunts of pain, average cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In our number 4 is Meg Thomas. Meg has arguably the best exhaustion perk in the game with Sprint Burst, a simple perk that gives a boost of speed upon sprinting, allowing good map traversal and head starts in chases on command. She then has Adrenaline, a perk that activates after all gens are completed, instantly healing a health state and granting a speed boost. This perk can be fairly situational and varying in how many games it helps you, but when it does, it's incredibly powerful, often saving games. Quick and Quiet is a simple stealth perk that makes any fast actions you do silent. This allows sneaky plays around lockers and loops. It has a short 20-second cooldown. Overall, not bad. Meg has loud noises, bad cosmetics for stealth, but a small character model. In number 3 we have Bill Overbeck. Bill has 2 amazing perks and 1 pretty bad one. Unbreakable lets you fully recover from the dying state at twice the usual speed. Nice and simple, but great for pressure and for anti-slugging. Borrowed Time is another great perk that pretty much guarantees a safe unhook. When you unhook a teammate, it applies the endurance status effect to them for 12 seconds. If they are hit hit during this time, they are put into the deep wound state instead of being downed. Great for stopping tunneling and camping, but also just delaying the killer by forcing hits and such. Finally, Left Behind lets you see the hatch's aura once you're the last survivor remaining, in a 32-meter range. This is so niche and isn't even that much of a benefit, as the hatch makes a sound too. Bill has loud noises, average cosmetics for stealth, and an average character model. In number 2 we have Claudette Morel. Botany knowledge gives you a solid base 33% increase to all healing speeds. It further makes all healing items 33% more efficient, using less charges. Nice and simple buff. Empathy is a pipe that reveals the auras of injured or downed survivors within 128 meters. This is equally a nice little bonus, letting you keep track of your teammates who need help or healing. Also, likely you can use this to work out the whereabouts of the killer too. Finally, we have Self-Care. This perk allows you to heal yourself without the need for a medkit, at 50% the usual healing rate. This is slow, but the capability to heal yourself on command, an infinite amount, is still a very strong effect. With the medkit you also get a decreased depletion rate of 20% when self-healing. Claudette has loud noises, good cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. In our number 1 we have Mikaela Reid. Mikaela comes with the very powerful Boon Circle of Healing. Boon perks allow you to bless totems, and Circle of Healing specifically allows you to heal 100% faster when within 24 meters of your boon totem. And also Self-Care, allowing considerable pressure from this simple but effective perk, making it highly valuable as an infinite heal point on the map for all survivors. Boon Shadow Step is her other less powerful boon that covers scratch marks and blocks auras in the boon's radius for the killer. It has its uses, but can be trickier to use and has a less powerful effect comparatively. A good effect nonetheless, especially on indoor maps. Clairvoyance provides a means to gather information on generators, chests, the hatch, and more after destroying a totem. You can reveal all of these in a 64-meter range for 10 seconds. It's an effective perk with an easy activation, making it pretty solid overall. Mikaela has average grunts of pain, average cosmetics for stealth, and a small character model. Alright, well, that's gonna do it. I do hope you enjoyed. Be sure to drop your own survivor ranking or favorite survivor down in the comments. Thanks, and goodbye.